Hello everyone, very good evening. Am I audible? So please start writing your answers. So start writing the answer and just take some 15-20 minutes and try to finish it off. Okay. So today we'll be discussing both day 13 and day 14 questions. So in another one more, I think in one more session by tomorrow, I'll try to wind up the tribal part. And second important thing, I have received multiple messages from different students saying that they have joined newly to this program and they want access to the previous classes. So I am making it clear that what I was expecting from your end is not monetary thing, but a commitment towards practice. So if you have joined today, try to follow it from today till the day of completion. Send all the answers that you have written till end, and I'll give you the access to what sessions you have missed. Okay, so it's mutual and it's not one way anymore, because I was expecting people to be some exceptional cases. So I understand some people, because of health, they may not participate, because of health issues, maybe because of job, they may not participate. But what we were looking from the other end is that commitment towards this examination. I am committed. If I have to tell you, I am going through severe headache even today, but I cannot put all of your time at risk because of just one issue that I'm going through. So when I am committed towards giving things, I hope you also remain committed. If you have missed anything by chance, only by submitting all other things that you have done so far, because you're missing one day or 2 days because of some issue. Okay, so if you are missing it, then show that other than those 2 days, you have been committed and you have written all the answers, submit them, then you'll get the access to those 2 sessions which you have missed. So that's how we are going to keep it. So I am pro towards everybody who is sincere, but I am against something which is taken very lightly. So I just wanted to make it clear. I'm here to help you people, but I want you people to be committed. I am committed. So you also do the same. And we won't compromise anywhere on the quality part. So we are going to keep it the best. Okay. So just start writing the answers and thank you. And second thing, all the videos will be available for 24 hours. Nothing to worry. So post discussion for 24 hours, I'm going to keep it. Okay. So there won't be any problem in that. But post that, it won't be available. Okay. Yeah. try writing whatever you can. Don't think that you don't know the answer, because if you sit in the final day of the examination, new questions keep coming in front of you. So there you have to use your existing knowledge. So write what all you can. Don't worry if it is good, bad, right or wrong. That's not the concern at all. Last 1 minute or 2 minutes for the answer. We have to move to the next question. Last 2 minutes for the question. last 5 minutes. After this, we'll start discussing the answers. Okay, let's start the discussion now. I'm audible, right? Please everybody comment or hit a like so that I can understand that I'm audible. Right. See, sometimes, there would be Wi-Fi disconnect and reconnect. Because of that, for 30 seconds or 1 minute, you'll get a buffering. Don't worry about that. So we'll go backwards, starting from this question, which is current in nature. So what you have written in this question, critically analyze the demand for statehood and sixth schedule status in Ladakh. So what you have written, just you can comment intro, body and conclusion. Just give a brief about it so that I can understand how on what lines you're thinking to write an answer. Just please comment how you have approached this question. Intro about constitutional provisions under 6th and Ladakh's demand. Political ecology and deep ecology concepts. Very good, Darshana. That's a very good understanding of anthropology. Yeah, ethnic aspects also can be included. Okay, losing autonomy. Good. Okay. So nobody has written the full answer. I would like to tell you that UPSC always tends to take up a question which happens a year or 2 years ago. Okay. So UPSC won't ask most of the times the questions what are on what are happening now. Okay. So what are the things that are going on currently? We think that in optional we'll get questions on them, but most of the times it picks things what happened a year or 2 years ago, because in anthropology, if something has to develop, discipline will take time. Okay. So for that reason, you should focus on what has happened in the last two to 3 years. So from my point of view, the Ladakh, which has been in news even now also, right? So how to write this answer? So you can introduce with what has happened in the past, where the bifurcation of Jammu and Kashmir in 2019, which granted union territory status to Ladakh. So which fulfilled a decades old demand of Leh district. So Leh, then it wanted a separation. So now that has been fulfilled by providing UT. However, post that there are subsequent demands for statehood, at the same time inclusion in the sixth schedule, both by Leh, which is a Buddhist majority, and Kargil, which is a Muslim majority. So now you have to understand that previously what was happening, there was a demand from Leh. Now, both have combined, Leh plus Kargil, and they have come together. So this integration shows that there is a shift from politics of integrationist to protectionist mobilization. Okay, so now you have to understand one thing, that what is increasing is regional solidarity. Okay, so in the past, Ladakh politics were polarized. Okay, people used to fight differently, and Leh was seeking separation from the Kashmir centric rule, while Kargil was fearing about it. Okay, in the past, the people belonging to Leh want a separate one, whereas people belonging to Kargil doesn't want them to be separated because they were fearing it. So now you can see both of them have come together for the demand of statehood. So in the introduction, you can write what has happened. First, bifurcation happened, which fulfilled the decades-old demand of lay district. After that, there was a demand, so subsequent demand for statehood and sixth schedule inclusion, both by lay and Kargil people. So this is intro. And when it comes to body, you have to show the anthropological context, that how the shift is happening. In the past, you know, there is one of the work, identity, fetishism, and the art of representation, by Martich van Beek. So here in this, what has been observed is Ladakhi politics, or the Ladakh politics were historically polarized. In the past, they are historically polarized. Leh sought the separation from Kashmir centric rule, while the Kargilas feared it. So Kargil feared this separation, and Leh was wanting this separation from Kashmir centric rule. But currently, what is happening? The formation of Leh Apex Body and Kargil Democratic Alliance, which marks the critical shift. You know, Ravina Agarwal. Okay, so Ravina Agarwal, how many of you know regarding Ravina Agarwal? So there was one of the work, Beyond Lines of Control, Performance and Politics. Okay, beyond lines of control. In that work, Ravina Agarwal has argued that in the borderlands, so wherever there are borders, in the borderlands, external anxieties, that means fear of demographic inundation. So external anxieties, which is nothing but a fear of external or fear of demographic inundation. That means they fear that outsiders might come and take over. So that often dissolves the internal religious boundaries. So in the view of Ravina Agarwal, in the work Beyond Lines of Control, so this you can find in multiple publications. So in JSTOR, you'll find her article. If you want to read, you can read more on that. But Ravina Agarwal in the Beyond Lines of Control says that in the borders, what happens, they have internal religious boundaries, one religion, other religion. But when it comes to the fear, external fear that these other people are going to come and inundate the existing demographic, so this will disappear. Okay, so this will often dissolve or disappear, which creates a unified border identity to resist the center. Are you following? Am I clear? If you did not understand, please let me know, because I don't get to know, because I'm not able to see any of the faces. More addicted to offline classes. See, what is she saying? She's saying that now within the Ladakh, there is a boundary, religious boundary. There are Buddhists, there are Muslims, and others. Okay, so now there is already a boundary here. There are differences, but these both of them are fearful that outsiders may come in and they might inundate demographically. Now, because of this external fear, These internal differences, whatever that are there, that will dissolve, and they both will unite to fight against the center. Okay, and they will have a single border identity. So this is what she is saying. I hope, Manisha, you are clear with respect to this. Okay, so that is the first thing. If you look at it anthropologically, first thing. And next, what is the rationale for sixth schedule? They want them to be included in the sixth schedule, right? So this is the body part. First thing, 97% of the population are scheduled tribes. So what are the scheduled tribes in Ladakh area? Quickly comment, everyone. Quickly comment who are the tribes in the Ladakh region. Bhotias, good. Balti, Changpa, Brokpa, multiple tribes are there. Almost 97%. So Ladakh fits into the tribal area. First of all, whatever the criteria that was there, it fits into the tribal area. That is the demographic justification that they have got. Okay, so even Fernanda Piri, Fernanda Piri. So in Peace and Conflict in Ladakh, observes that Ladakh social order relies. So here the social order is based upon the customary law and face-to-face communication. Okay, now what is happening here? Now currently you have a centralized lieutenant governor, right? So a centralized bureaucracy is seen in the Ladakh. So this is alienating the existing moral communities. Previously, they are having their own way of dealing with life, but now because of centralized governance, this is alienating them. Okay, so first they are fitting into democratic justification, next, they are feeling alienated. And what are the other things that you can mention? There is fear of demographic dilution. Okay, so locals fear that without sixth schedule restrictions on land ownership, now if you don't have any restriction, sixth schedule has the restrictions on the land ownership, right? So that if they don't have, the region might see influx of outsiders eroding their distinct ethno-cultural identity. So first thing, demographic justification, and other is the demographic dilution. So for that reason, they want to have that sixth schedule status. Okay, so I hope you're clear. And what is the rationale for statehood? Okay, so they argue that bureaucratic governance in Ladakh often lacks the situational or the situated knowledge. The decisions made in Delhi regard any of the aspect often do not take into consideration the high altitude desert ecology. High altitude desert ecology. Okay, so their ecological sovereignty is not protected, and they don't understand the fragile hill ecology that is present over there. And this situated knowledge, if they don't have that local knowledge, then it might cause disruption there, and they are afraid of it. Okay, and even Jonathan Demang notes that local agro-pastoral adaptations are threatened by lowland models of development, because in the Ladakh region it is a hilly area, so their agro-pastoral adaptations are different. And now if you are bringing the models of development which were suited to the lowland, and who doesn't have the knowledge, so that would threaten their ecology. So their ecological sovereignty is threatened. Henceforth, this deep ecology has to be understood. And they say that this can only happen when they get statehood and when they have legislative power over land and glaciers. Why they want the statehood? Because now it's a union territory without state legislature, right? So now they want state legislature, and when they have state legislature, they have the legislative power over the land and the glaciers, and they can rule or they can manage in the way they want. Okay, so now Ladakh Autonomous Hill Developmental Council, whichever is formed, it is financially disempowered, and this gives them a feeling that they are being colonized internally. Okay, so locals are feeling they are being treated as assets rather than citizens. Okay, so this is one thing. Are you clear? So here, what are the challenges with respect to it? The challenges here, some students have already mentioned. First thing, from the security lens, that it borders China and Pakistan. So the center views Ladakh through a security lens, prioritizing the military maneuverability. Okay, so how military can be maneuvered, and this maneuverability is more important for the center. So granting full legislative power over the public order or a land. Okay, so if you are giving that legislative power to border state, then it would be strategic risk by the security establishment. And this has been highlighted by the scholars such as Srikant Kondapalli, in some of their works. Okay, so from security lens point of view, so when you write the critical analysis, you have to give all the angles, right? First, we have looked at from the view of those people residing there, but now we have to present the view of the central government here as well. Okay, so security lens is one thing. Then economic viability, because with a population of 3 lakhs and limited internal revenue, a full state apparatus is economically unsustainable without massive central dependency. So there should be a lot of dependency on center, and this will weaken the argument for full statehood compared to other states. Okay, so here you don't have any internal revenue, and if you have to run the entire state, then it would be very difficult. So because other states have got it, it is difficult for them to have the same. Very limited population of 3 lakhs almost. So economic viability is also an issue. And then there is alternative. Okay, so legal anthropologists argue that sixth schedule may not be the only solution. Rather, there can be other way also, that Ladakh Autonomous Hill Development Council can be provided, or this act can be backed with constitutional guarantees, so which could offer similar autonomy without the complexities of statehood. So these are the views that you can present in a critical way. Okay, so then we have the conclusion. So you have presented both the views of the state, okay, and the people. See, when these kind of question comes, we'll almost go blank how to answer. So that's why it is very important to have an idea in a broad way, and some of the scholars who are presenting the views. Okay, so you can use any scholar, whatever you come across, but try to make it authentic. Don't go by chat GPT or any other artificial intelligence suggested ones, but you can Google and go to the JSTOR or ResearchGate and see the respective scholar what they have quoted, and you can integrate their views. There is no wrong in it. Okay, but it is good that you mention the name of the work and what they have said. So that would be better. So presenting both the views. So this is with respect to the answer. So in the conclusion, what you will be writing. So the demands in Ladakh is representing a case of resistance to homogenization, because we have to use such keywords which shows that you are talking from anthropological perspective. So what you can mention, while full statehood faces the strategic hurdles, the anxiety regarding the land or the identity is genuine. So what is suggested is the middle ground, okay, so which is lying in the asymmetrical federalism, not symmetrical but asymmetrical federalism. Like you can grant uh, article 371 like protections to secure land and jobs, at the same time ensuring national security, which does not come at the cost of cultural extinction. This conjunction you have to add, that you want national security but which should not come at the cost of cultural extinction. Clear? I hope you are clear. Clear, right? Right. Moving to the next question. Discuss the rise of communal tensions in tribal regions. Can you tell me one or two examples of communal tensions that you have seen among the tribes? So, which are recent? Okay, Kuki Meti conflict. Give the names. Can we write international examples like Acholi and Bakiga of Uganda and Kenya? Better keep it related to India. You can write, there is no objection to it, but only after writing the Indian part. Okay, so now the question is regarding the rise of communal tensions. First of all, to write such answers, mostly we'll be quoting it in a very generic way. Okay. But what's very important is you should recall few of the communal tensions. Use those communal tensions to generate the points to the answer. Okay. So that's important. So how did you write the intro, body and conclusion? Quickly comment. So I'm starting the answer. You can comment. So first of all, in the intro, what you will be writing is the rise of communal tensions in tribal regions is not merely a law and order issue, but a structural conflict rooted in socio-political cause. So anthropologically, these conflicts represent the hardening. Okay, so you have to use your concepts that you have learned in different places of paper 1 and paper 2. So this you have to understand. I'll be showing in the further questions also. So here what you can use the ethnic boundaries concept that you have learned by Frederick Barth. Okay, so it shows that there is hardening of these ethnic boundaries where religion is used to define the insider versus the outsider. So these conflicts illustrate the transition from traditional tribal solidarity. Previously, there was some traditional tribal solidarity that is being shifted to ethno nationalism, which is driven by resource scarcity and the political mobilization. Try to understand these topics are very generically taught by most of the people. Try to understand this. If you don't write in the way that is needed, you will never get marks in these questions. Okay, so always try to anchor your answer to the anthropological concept. They will give some definition. Write what is ethnicity, write the ethnic identity definition, write what are the features of 4 5 scholars. If you do that, you will definitely lose. Okay, so that's why try to write it in such a way that it is clear you understood the concept and you're linking those concepts to the answer. So here you have to say that there is increasing hardening of ethnic boundaries and the religion is being used to define the insider and outsider, and these conflicts show that previously there was traditional tribal solidarity which is moving towards the modern ethno nationalism, which is driven by the resource scarcity and the political mobilization. And here, when you have to discuss the communal violence, you can take the example of Kandamal violence. So that is one type, and the other you can write the Manipur Kuki Miti. And if any other things which you know in detail, you can use them. So here you have to understand the communal violence is you're moving to the body part, right? So here you'll be writing first in the introduction, then this is the connecting para, then moving to the body part. So there you'll be showing that the communal violence is not a spontaneous one, but institutionalized one by the political actors. It is not spontaneous, it is not sudden, but is institutionalized by political actors who manipulate the religious symbols to consolidate the vote banks. And this what we call as instrumentalist. instrumentalist theory, which was given by Paul Brass, right? Paul Brass has said this, right? So here communal violence can be seen from that way, that it is not spontaneous one, but it is very much institutionalized by the political actors who manipulate the religious symbols, okay, to consolidate vote banks. Then second thing what you can notice is violence here, it is coming from the perceived gap between the group expectation and the reality. Okay, so now when there is gap, or what is called as relative deprivation by Rajni Kothari, relative deprivation, and even Ted Gurr also has talked much about this. So the violence generally here, it is not because of the internal beliefs, but it is because of the relative deprivation they are facing, because they are having some expectation and something else is the reality. When these aspirations are not fulfilled, these are resulting in the conflict which are known as ethnic conflict. So conflicts which has its origin in ethnic aspects is called as ethnic conflict. So here the relative deprivation is leading to the communal violence. And the clashes often arises when one group seeks upward mobility and the other doesn't allow to do it. Okay, so because you can see the Kandamal case, I'll be showing that, you will be noticing that there is Sanskritization and other is Christianization. So let's take the example of Kandamal. In 2008, Kandamal violence, it was not all of a sudden. Okay, it is not just between Hindu and Christians. It is not a Hindu Christian conflict actually, but it is a triangular struggle between the caste, between the tribe, and the land. These three things were very important here. Are you following what I am discussing? Any doubts here? Everyone, are you clear? Yeah. So here the conflict is not just between Hindu and Christian. It's not at all binary. So there are multiple scholars who are there who have said that there are organizations. Okay, so there are religious organizations which successfully mobilized the tribes by framing other religion people as threat to their indigenous culture, and this has took a religious turn. Now we should not talk about the groups per se, but there are, see, tribes who are Kandas. Kanda tribals are ST and they're mostly Hinduized. And there are Pana tribes. These are Dalits, mostly SCs and Christians. Now, these organizations have mobilized the Kanda tribes by framing the other group as threat to their indigenous culture, and now they have made this issue of land, linking it to religion. So land, religion and tribe, three of them are involved here. So what they were afraid, there was a scholar who talked about this, Manindranath Thakur. who express the views on Kandas. Okay, so these Kanda people have feared that the Christian Panas, these people, because of Christianity, Christian missionaries, they are well educated. Now, if they get the ST status, if they are getting the ST status, these people are afraid that the Panas will take away all the jobs, all the reservation benefits. This would create an issue of economic economic insecurity to these Kandas. So this would alienate the land alienation would happen, and this economic grievance have this economic grievance has taken the language of religion. Okay, so now the fight is because of this economic security, but that took the turn of religion. So you need to understand how the communal violence and the identities are interrelated. You need to understand the question very, very carefully. What is it saying? The rise of communal tensions, first it asked, then how the religious identities intersect with the ethnic boundaries in these conflicts. Are you understanding how we are trying to link them? Right? So you have to link things and discuss rather than mentioning the points. So by just mentioning the points would not fetch marks. You have to discuss it so that examiner understands you are addressing the demand of the question. First, we have understood the Kandamal part. Then let's see the Manipur. Okay. So Manipur conflict, it's a classic example of durable disorder. So Sanjeev Barua, most of the people you might be knowing Sanjeev Barua. So if you don't know, then I think you have to read about them. So here there is a divide. The valley is having 10% land. Okay, so this 10% land is dominated by Maitis, who are mostly Hindus or Vaishnavites. These people only hold the political power. 90% land is hills, and here you have Kuki, Zo, Nagas, who are STs and mostly Christians. Nagas are mostly Christians here. Okay, and these people have ST status and land protection. So the conflict here is driven by overlapping territorial claims. Metis have demanded for ST status, and this is seen by Kukis. Now they have 90% of the land, right? So these people are having ST status. Nobody else can buy land from them. Nobody can claim the land. But now, if Metis, if they get ST status, these people will take away land. So this will threaten the survival. Next, if these people are given ST status, they're having the majority of the population. Now, if everybody is given ST status, that means nobody has got ST status and they're going to lose their advantage. So, some of the scholars whom you can quote is Negin Pao Kibjen. So, in the politics of ethnic conflict in Manipur, and he has discussed these things. And next, you have Zozoi in 2023 work notes that the tribes like Kuki, Zomi, Hamar merged under the Zo umbrella solely. So now there are different tribes. Okay, so there are Kukis, there are Zomis, there are Mars. So these all came under the banner of zoos. Why? They formed an umbrella society of zoo to collectively have defense against the meaties. So this is known as identity crystallization. They're coming together and fighting against someone else. Identity crystallization. So this is first thing that you have to notice here. Are you clear with Manipur conflict? If you're clear, please comment that you're clear. Okay. So now I have discussed two ethnic aspects, right? So two ethnic violence aspect. One is with respect to northeast, other is to central India. So tomorrow the question can ask you, how is central Indian ethnic conflicts different from the northeast ethnic conflict? So then also you can use the same information to link and write the answer. So here intention is to learn the broader concept so that any other corollary questions that may come, you can answer them easily. See, Manisha, identity crystallization is nothing but they are forming a crystal, that they are different groups coming under one thing, that is crystallization. Simply. So you can understand. So I'm just quickly revising what we have seen, the Kandamal and the Manipur. So first, the conflict, the primary conflict here is intra subaltern. That means within, and so it is between the tribes, right? There is tribal Kandas and Dalit Panas. Okay, so the conflict is intra and internal. Okay, so here it is center and periphery. That means dominant valley. There is dominant valley that is involved, that is Metis, and other is marginalized cookies. Okay, so the conflict is different. And what is the role of religion? So here the role of religion in the Kandamal region, it is used to deny ST status to Christian Dalits. Okay, so religion has been instrumental to deny ST status to Christian Dalits. But here, the religion is just differentiating the indigenous Metis from the immigrant Kuki. That is the role of religion. Then you can write how they have mobilized. Kandas are adopting Hindu norms to assert superiority over the Panas. So here they have taken Sanskritization, and here there is ethno nationalism. Okay, so you will see that Mera Paibis. Okay, so the armed groups and civil societies, they are taking the charge. Here they are taking up Sanskritization. Okay, so here anti-Christian violence is often a proxy for caste class conflict. So this caste class conflict is nothing but it is a proxy for the anti-Christian violence. And here, according to Sanjeev Barua, territoriality, the territory part remains the central organizing principle of politics, especially in the Northeast India. So these are the things that you can briefly note, and what you can understand from here is that these things are validating the TK woman's thesis that in India, religion often acts as a surrogate for language or tribe. So the solution lies not just in secular policing, but in addressing the structural asymmetries with respect to land reforms or asymmetrical federalism and conflict resolution. Okay, so you should not go for peace by force. You should go to peace by dialogue. Okay, yesterday also we have seen these same things, so that's why I'm not discussing further. So whatever TK woman has said with respect to ethnic conflict, these are also ethnic conflicts, but the communal in nature. Okay, so I hope you are clear. Moving to the next question. Discuss the impact of Islam on scheduled tribes in India. This is another important question where you have to link your concepts of paper 1 to paper 2. Most of the times we fail to link the concepts. First, you need to understand the interaction between Islam and Indian tribes. Here it is not characterized. Okay, so first thing you need to know, what are the characteristics of this interaction, Islam and the Indian tribes. So this is characterized not by total absorption. They did not absorb totally, but there is selective assimilation. See, I hope you have learned this concept of cultural assimilation. So these are the concepts that you have to keep mentioning: selective assimilation and syncretism. So unlike the concept that you have learned by N.K. Bose, Hindu method of tribal absorption, where they are integrated into the caste completely, it's not like that. Here the Islamic impact often results in liminal identities. So I hope you remember the concept of Victor Turner. So here they get the liminal identities, that is nothing but communities that are theologically Muslim but culturally tribal. Okay, so communal identities that are theologically Muslim but culturally tribal. So this is the intro part. In the introduction, you have written the conceptual aspect. So now you'll be discussing about the impact. So when you come to the body part, what all things you can write? You can write the socio-cultural impact. You can write about the cultural hybridity. Then you can write about the economic and ecological adaptation. Then you can also give the contemporary views on this. Okay, so socio-cultural impact, I think everybody is familiar with the work of Leela Dubey in 1969, Matrilineal and Islam. Okay, so who studied the Kalpani Islanders of Lakshadweep, where they noticed a unique fusion where tribals practice Islamic monotheism, but at the same time they retain the Marumakthayam, that means matrilineal inheritance. The Marumakthayam system is nothing but matrilineal inheritance. So this challenges the stereotype of Islamic patriarchy, showing that tribals customary law often overrides the religious Sharia law in the social organization. Though in some parts they are following it, but tribal customary law is overriding the religious Sharia law. Okay, so this part you can mention with sociocultural impact. And if you see the bills, third V bills, So it was studied by S.L. Doshi. The name of the work is Bills Between Societal Self-Awareness. So they are part of central India. What has been observed that here these bills, they often observe folk Islam while they pray to Allah. They retain clan exogamy, which is a tribal trait which is forbidden in Orthodox Islam, which prefers the parallel cousin marriage. But here, that parallel cousin marriage is not followed, and the clan exogamy is followed. So, the folk Islam is seen here. So, this creates a composite culture. And the study of Himalayan pastoralists in 1998 on Gujars and Bakarwals of Jammu and Kashmir by Aparna Rao in the work Himalayan Pastoralists. Gujars and Bakarwals. So here, what has been observed is that Islamization reinforced their identity as transhumant pastoralists. Okay, transhumant pastoralists. There, it was reinforced their identity. So their migration cycles are now regulated by Islamic calendars and visit to the Sufi ziyarats, that means shrines. So distinguishing them from the settled agrarian tribes. Okay, so the ecological adaptation and the economic aspect has been influenced by the Islam. Okay, and even the study of NFHS data found that Muslim ST children face intersecting disadvantage. Okay, so that is double marginalization of being both a religious minority and a tribal group, leading to certain specific health inequities. So they are more prone to stunting and wasting, and these people are seen distinct from the Hindu scheduled tribes. So now the study that has been conducted by Prita Chatterjee, okay, Prita Chatterjee, based on the statistics of NFHS data. So what has been said is you have to focus more on these people because they are disadvantaged through double marginalization. One is tribe, then other is religious minority. So in the conclusion, you can mention that the impact of Islam on tribes is testament to the Indian pluralism. As Imtiaz Ahmad, okay, Imtiaz Ahmad, who notes that while Islam has offered a theoretical egalitarianism in practice, okay, so while it offered a theoretical egalitarianism, but in practice it often replicated social hierarchies such as Ashraf and Ajlaf, leaving these groups in a unique socio-political space that what Professor Nadeem Hasnain argues as intersecting political lens. So Nadeem Hasnain argues that understanding the Islam on Indian scheduled tribes requires intersecting policy lens. Okay, so if you want to frame anything, you have to look at from multiple things: religion, tribe, and the community culture. So these all things have to be looked at. So you can bring in Imtiaz Ahmad, who is very important scholar who recently passed away. So if you want to know more about Imtiaz Ahmad, I've already posted in the main group of mine in Telegram. Okay, so you can read about Imtiaz Ahmad there. And you can also bring in Nadim Hasnain, so who have commented on this. So I hope you are clear with respect to impact of Islam on scheduled tribes in India. Are you clear? Please quickly comment. Yeah, you can mention Garos and Kasis. Do you think Islam has impacted them? Use the right examples. If you're quoting wrong examples, that might penalize. Okay, so moving to the next and last question. Impact of electoral politics and democratic institutions on traditional tribal political organization. How has ethnic voting evolved in tribal regions? Okay, so this question sounds little complex, but it is simple only. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to link your answer to unit 4 of paper 1, that in pre-modern tribal societies, political organization was characterized by statelessness and diffused authority. So authority is not centralized, it is diffused. And who has said this? You know, very famous, that is Evans Pritchard. So Christopher von Ferrer Hemmendorf in the Tribes of India noted that traditional polity was rooted in kinship, ritual sanctions, and consensus. The introduction of electoral politics in India has fundamentally transitioned these tribal societies from moral communities. So they were depending upon kinship, ritual sanctions, and consensus, right? So previously, morals was the things that they were using to maintain the social solidarity. Now, with introduction of this, they have moved from moral communities to political communities. Okay, so putting it simply, you can see here previously it was hereditary or electoral politics have impacted. First and foremost thing here you need to notice is that there is erosion of traditional authority and institutional dualism. Okay, if you notice Dorbars, Parhas, or Kebangs, these are the traditional councils you notice among the tribes: Dorbars, Kebangs, and Parhas. See, when you're reading Unit 4 of Paper 1, be sure that you're reading the examples of traditional councils of India. Don't just limit to the examples of the world, or else you won't be able to apply them clearly when you're writing the paper to answers. So, here, one work of F.G. Bailey we can recall, Tribe, Caste, and Nation, who said that institutional dualism where two competing centers of power exist within the same village. Okay, so he has said that there are two centers of power. So if you see example of Meghalaya, there is traditional Rangba Shong, which is nothing but headman. This headman often clashes with the elected members of district councils over development funds. If you see the example of central India, Mundas of Jharkhand were the traditional Paraharaja, who was present, has lost the administrative power to the Mukhya, who is under the Panchayat Raj system. Now only Paraharaja has got only ritual relevance. So traditional authority faded and institutional dualism roped in. And second impact you notice is tribal elite and class formation. So you notice these things. So democracy requires literacy, money, and external networks, which is qualified mostly by the traditional elders. Okay, sorry, which is mostly qualified by those who have access to it. Okay, and traditional elders, if you notice, the traditional people, do they have literacy? Do they have money? External networks? They don't have it. So BK Roy Burman observed that there is a rise of bridge bureaucracy or tribal elite intermediaries who broker between the state and the tribe. There are some people who broker between the state and the tribe, and now these people are called as tribal elites, or these tribal elite intermediaries. Okay, so intermediaries who are grabbing this power. So there is formation of tribal elites and class formation. So you can see the rise of Meena elites in Rajasthan, who dominate the bureaucracy and political representation, creating a class gap with non-literate tribal population. Okay, so that you can write. And then the other thing is politicization of social relations and factionalism. Okay, so previously it was consensus based decision making, which is replaced by the majoritarian voting. Now that has divided the clan unity. Okay, so that is increased factionalism in Odisha Kodaput region. If you see that, I have already told you the Kandamal region, right? There is a divide and there is rival disruption that has happened among the traditional family itself. Okay, so because of these divisions with respect to parties that has been formed. So you can write all these things with respect to impact of modern democratic institutions, and then how the ethnic voting has evolved. This part you have to address. So first there was era of vote banks. Okay, so now tribes voted those people based on whatever village headman was saying. Okay, village headman was acting as a patron. Okay, so there was patron uh, client relationship, patron client relationship in the past. Now village headman asks the people to vote. So they used to vote according to what village headman was saying. Okay. But what has happened in the next, this is in 1950s to 1970s, because these village headmen used to work for somebody. Now these people, whatever they said, they used to follow. Next comes the rise of identity politics in 1980s to 2000s. Okay, so now voting became a tool for ethnic assertion and subnationalism. Okay, so you can see Jharkhand Mukti Morcha mobilizing votes for Jal Jangal Zameen, Mizoram National Front capitalizing on Mizo nationalism. So here voting became a tool for ethnic assertion and subnationalism. And then comes post 2010s, which is era of strategic voting. So the voting is strategic now. So here there is a hybrid of identity plus religion plus development. So all are combined. Okay. So here this religious groups integrated tribes into the respective vote banks through cultural appropriation. Christian missionaries converting respectively, or Hindu groups are converting respectively, and they are trying to do this cultural appropriation and convert them into the vote bank. Okay, so now the current trend is tribals often vote regional parties for state elections to protect identity, but national parties in general elections for development. So you notice the strategic voting that has evolved. So the voting previously in the beginning was based upon the patron client relation, then the identity based for ethnic assertion and subnationalism. Now it is strategic. Okay, so it includes development, religion, identity all together combined. So in the recent times, you notice that like 33% women reservation in the urban local bodies was announced, right? So because of that, there was some crisis in the Nagaland region of urban local bodies. So here, the traditional organizations and the law has come into conflict, and these people were denying. So it has been highlighted that this crisis shows the patriarchal nature of the tribal political organizations. Okay, so this you can write, and then you can conclude that interaction between democracy and tribal tradition has been a double-edged sword. Okay, so in one way, it has eroded the social cohesion of the tribal councils, but however, it has also empowered the marginalized sections like youth and women. Okay, so today tribal voting has evolved from passive co-option to active negotiation, where the tribes use the ballot box both for cultural recognition and material development. So this is how you can conclude, and that's it. Okay, everyone, I think we are done with the questions, and I think most of the students have left because it's late for today. No worries, they might be watching it tomorrow. So thank you, everyone. Good night.